Warp Zone.
The Empire strikes back with multiple laser attack, Decepticon infiltration, stealing information, type of communication with Recordicons, target massive sound wave stereo. I don't believe in a no-win scenario for an epic adventure, no retreat, no surrender. Cleaning up the city with Mayor Mike Hagar, clashing with the Foot Clan in the shadows of the streetlights, spotlights, bright lights, and if you got a new pet, don't feed him after midnight. Cruising on our bicycles, we never say die. From the attic to the basement, uncovering the secrets with the power bracelet. Ryu and Ken style, kicking it on the pavement, 88 miles per hour, we out of time. Meanwhile, at Warp Zone.
Well, welcome to Meanwhile at Warp Zone. I have a few people here with me. Normally, I have Carrie, and he is here. So, and we're also live on our YouTube, which you will probably be seeing as long as I don't think I look too fat. We should be good.
Not live.
Not live. No, not live. But, hey, we were filming it, so that's good. And also we have Josh here. He is listening to something with his headphones.
I'm going to go ahead and call it alive on YouTube because this is proof that I am alive.
Yeah, it's true. This is time-stamped. Yeah. So how you doing, Josh?
I'm doing good.
How are you? It's good to have you back.
He's a knob tweaker.
Number 2 in a row.
Yeah, 2 in a row.
2 in a row. So, I guess we'll just get right into it.
Still hasn't played Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. We're going to force him.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
He's got the system. He's just got to get the game now.
Just got to get the game.
I feel like it shouldn't take this long. That's my feelings. But I won't. Sorry. I won't. But I digress.
Scott, you had you spilled the beans on the way here. I know you have your typical question.
Yes. Are you ready for that?
I am never ready.
Have you thought of it?
I did, and I remember again because the easy part about this question is it's just a fact. It's not my opinion.
The thing about mine is it has a little story with it.
Well, I can add a story to anything.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, the question of the week would be, what was your first CD you ever bought? And I don't know. Does anybody who wants to go first?
I'll go first just because, like I said, I have mine queued up. I was going to mention my first cassette also because they were in a very similar era of time because I kind of made it on the end of the cassette train at the beginning of the CD wagon.
My first cassette was.
And I'm going to say cassette real quick, and then I'm going to jump into the CD. My first cassette was Aerosmith, Get a Grip. The one with the cow udder that was pierced. And I think everybody bought that album at the era because Aerosmith was big again with their videos with Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler.
Horribly inappropriate.
Yep. I definitely wouldn't have my daughter being scantily clad in my music video. But you know what? If he hadn't done that, she wouldn't have been in Lord of the Rings and all that probably either. So,
but I don't think he knew her until days before that video was shot.
Yeah, so. I don't think there probably wasn't as much. I don't think there was the loving father relationship growing up to have that awkward relationship.
You're my daughter, but you're also kind of hot.
So I'm going to use you to endorse my music.
Let's do that. Let's make this so.
But I mean, the funny thing about it is with that album, I mean, the singles on MTV sucked me in, but my favorite song on it was actually "Living on the Edge." Which I think was a much better song than the ones with Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler promoting.
And just to talk about Aerosmith a little bit, I love the guitarist more than I love just about anybody else in that. Yeah, I thought he had some amazing riffs.
Yeah, he's a great guitar player. I mean, overall, it might not be your cup of tea. I respect the hell out of Aerosmith. I don't necessarily want to listen to all their songs all the time. Yeah. But, I mean, there's certain ones that, I'm definitely excited to hear. And I think for me, a lot of times with songs, I'm more excited when they pop in the appropriate places on a TV show or movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm really excited when somebody fits an older song in somewhere and it's, makes it more cool part.
It is, yeah.
But I'm going to jump ahead here because I, was a jerk and picked two things. I'm going to say my first CD, which again was something I got sucked into because of being at a friend's house and seeing it on MTV or VH1 or whatever it was at the time. I'm guessing it was probably MTV. It was Soul Asylum, and I can't remember the name of the album, but it was the one that had Runaway Train on it. And that song was on TV constantly, drilling that into your head. And there was actually I don't know if anybody else did this, but as a kid, when you buy that album for the single, you like force yourself to find a couple more songs on that album that you like because it's like it can't just be for this one song. There's got to be more things on here I want to listen to.
And I still do that to this day. I was like, oh man, I love this song. Like, I can't listen to it for another couple days though because I don't want to wear this.
Yes, because you'll wear it out.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've forced myself to listen through an album a couple times just so I can get a few more songs.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I like this one.
Just praying.
Because a lot of times the first listen, you know, you won't like it either.
Yeah, you still want to just listen to that one.
It's definitely a weird album. There's definitely some weird stuff on it, you know what I mean? But overall,
are there any other like popular songs on that?
I don't know if there's any popular ones. And
what else did Soul Sound do?
That's really their big hit. I mean, there's probably a couple other ones like, and again, I'm not a big Soul Asylum guy, so I don't have like a backstory.
Did they have that Misery? Isn't there a Misery song?
I don't know.
I don't know.
One of you can go, and I'll look some stuff up, and I'll chime in at the end.
What do you think, Josh?
I have something. I don't remember what my first tape was.
Don't worry about it.
That was just doing that because mine was like really close together.
Carrie's just hogging this.
Yeah.
I'm a hog.
I've had
I
a
never
lot
asked about tapes.
I've had a lot of stuff given to me, like CDs and stuff. But the first CD that I remember buying, like going to Walmart and buying,
something that you wanted.
Yeah, was the Boyz II Men 2 album. Yeah,
I can see that, Josh.
Yeah,
I definitely can.
It was cool.
Some very, very harmonic man,
very
young
harmonic.
man.
Very harmonic, man.
Very harmonic.
I remember when I was living in Alaska, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I was in class. I think it was probably in like, I don't know, middle school, maybe elementary school, and they came to Alaska, and all like the kids in my class went and see, and they were like talking about, oh, the acoustics wasn't good. I'm like, what the hell does acoustics mean? You don't even know what that means. You're just making this stuff up. Some grown up said that to you.
Some grown up. You're just. What does Peter say in the one episode? It's something shallow and pedantic.
Yeah. For all intensive purposes. But but yeah, I thought it was a good album.
Yeah, I thought it was a good album.
Any good story? If not, you don't have to say anything.
I don't have any good story.
How long did you listen to it for? A really long time.
Was young Josh doing any singing and performing to this album?
Oh man, I did a lot of singing and performing to a lot of different songs and albums. Not just.
Was there dance moves?
Oh, there are all kinds of dance moves.
Okay,
yeah.
See, like that's a story.
Yeah,
I knew that there was a story.
You know, it was one of those things like just growing up, like whatever was like pop at the time, we would like. Mm-hmm. We were the family that Michael Jackson song came on. We were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do some Michael Jackson. Yeah. And I remember, I don't know why, but Bobby Brown did a song. Yeah, and then
your prerogative, Josh's prerogative.
That's remember like we learned the dance moves.
My prerogative.
Like, you were an R&B family.
Like we learned the dance. Like I remember doing that in the living room, and my mom was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like just looking at us like, "We're dancing." Like, all right, and then she would just kind of like walk away.
Just doing "Ride My Pony" by what's his name?
We need to do No Pony.
What's his name? I can't name. It starts with a G.
It.
Yeah, there it is. My pony. I don't know what kind of metaphor he was going for, it definitely went over my head.
Yeah.
But did you have a favorite song from that album? What were there?
Many,
there's a lot on that album.
I mean, there's the "Down on Bended Knee" was on that album. I think it was
Make Love to You.
Yep. Water Runs Dry was on that. There's just so many good ones.
There was a lot of good. They were quite the quintuplet.
Quintessential.
Quintuplet. I don't know. It's quintet.
I thought you were going for quintessential. I was trying to chime in.
Quintessential quartet.
Let me finish your word for you.
Quintessential quartet.
Carrie. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so my first.
Before you, I'm just going to jump in real quick, just because I found my details here.
Okay, let's do it.
Since Josh did a favorite song, one of the other ones, it's not a single. My favorite song off of it's called Grave Dancers Union, by the way, too, the Soul Asylum album. It was April Fool was my favorite song off of the album. But I would say their other singles would have been Somebody to Shove, which is probably their next largest song, out there. Believe it or not,
sing that song.
They were triple platinum. I'm trying to give me a second. I want somebody to shove. I need somebody to shove.
Is that what he says?
I swear to God.
I had no idea what he was saying the whole time.
Yes. And I just wanted to point out also the cover art. It makes me think that they looked at the Nirvana Nevermind album, and is like, I'm gonna add another butt.
Let's get some naked kids in
Yeah,
there.
let's have a naked. Well, they're supposed to be dead, so it's supposed to be dead naked people walking. Two of them are naked
That's a
children.
Naked kid.
Yeah,
They're
see.
like, what's better than one naked kid, but two
I
naked
can't
kids?
imagine this would be an album cover nowadays.
I don't know.
I can't imagine that somebody wouldn't freak out about a naked child, especially with them portraying it as a dead child, dead naked child.
The one of them kind of looks older.
Yes,
that's
one's
like,
little, and that's a little more gray.
She's like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
that's
I think
just,
I can't imagine. I would say that this would be flagged as child pornography by current standards.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be.
But sorry, Scott, I just wanted to chime in with my lack of details.
It's a Czech photographer. He's from the Czech.
Yeah.
The Czech. I don't know. I think it's the Czech Republic now, but he's a Czech. Yeah. He loves the little people. But so my first CD was, and I went in with great purpose to get it. I went into a Walmart to get it, and I was like, I'm gonna get this, and I don't know. I think I heard like one song from it, and I was like, this is so awesome. I'm gonna listen to this because I was all into like harder rock, and this was also the beginning of the rap rock. But I don't think it actually exploded yet because nobody likes this album, I guess, except for me. But I went into Walmart and I found it, and it's Limp Bizkit's first CD, $3 Bill Y'all. If that didn't tip you off on how awesome it is.
I think the fact what happened with Limp Bizkit is I think they were really popular really fast, and then they like were one of those things that wore thin on people really fast.
I think Fred Durst self-destructed it, and also the guitarist didn't like where it was going. But $3 Bill Y'all, as Carrie's looking at right now. And I don't know if anybody's ever bought anything, and I don't even know if Walmart does this anymore, but if you buy it like an explicit CD from Walmart, it is censored.
I've definitely fallen prey to this, Scott. I picked up Blink-182, Enema of the State, and it was super censored.
Yeah, there's a lot of cursing in that album. But I didn't really know that, and years went by, and I listened to that CD like a whole bunch. I know all the raps from that CD, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, I don't know, I was just really into it.
A lot of things that rhyme with the word "fuck" in this, and there's nothing to rhyme with it.
Surprisingly, he must not have cussed this in this CD because as much as he does in more recent albums, because I don't remember there being a lot of blank spots. But there was, and I remember I was working at Kohl's at the time in the back, and I was playing I put it on, and the guy who also was like a heavy metal guy, he was like, so, wait, he was supposed to say the F word right there, and I'm like, really? And then he's like, here, it's supposed to come again. It's not there.
Oh, man.
And I was like, well, I got it from Walmart. He's like, they censored it. And I'm like, oh, all right. I don't know. It wasn't super big deal to me, and just so everybody knows, I have yet to listen to an uncensored version of that album because it just I thought about it. I'm like, I could get it so easily. I could just BitTorrent it or something like that if I wanted to, but I still have the CD. It still works, and that's
your memory.
Once a year, once a year, I'll be like,
you'll throw it in and be like, oh,
Limp Bizkit, and then I'm like,
they're so
and
clean.
then I can hear it now. Like I'm like, oh. There it is. There's an F word. There's an S word. There's a bunch of words in there, and I'm just not
oblivious,
privy to it.
Just oblivious to
I'm
it.
cool with it.
What makes me sad about it, though, is like with the Blink-182 album, instead of just removing the word, they changed them, and I found that to be more like hilarious. Like
that's more band allowed. Like they were okay with it. That was the big
because they would have had to recorded the parts even because the part that stands out to me the most, like. This was like, oh, Kmart, you got me.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to it, and it gets to the part where the state looks down on sodomy, and they say the state looks down on MTV instead.
Sodomy.
They even censored the word sodomy.
Sodomy.
God, how does that get brought up every podcast?
It's medical terminology.
It is.
True. And, it's commonplace in the news.
Somebody in the censor, Tipper Gore was like, this is dirty.
Carrie.
This is dirty.
Carrie
it's in the Bible.
If I sodomize Carrie tonight in the news,
they will use that word.
They will use that word.
Carrie
That
was
is the
sodomized by best friend Scott
That
Perkins.
is the politically correct term. That is the politically
It
correct
is.
term.
I mean, there's a lot of other things.
Would the rest
that
of
you
that
could say.
story be that Josh Sanchez came to his rescue and stopped it?
No.
I'm the night man.
He's the nightman.
He would put a blanket over us so he
just
couldn't.
puts a blanket over us to hide.
All right, enough.
So that
He's at him. Just let him be. He's crying.
just mask the lovemaking. But so that's my story about my my loser first CD that I ever bought. I don't know. I still like it.
So, what was your favorite song on there?
There's a lot. I mean, the first song. It's easier to say there's what songs I didn't like on that album. Like the last song is really.
No, you got to pick one.
Mine was the first track.
I like
mine was the first track on
Pollution and like Counterfeit. Counterfeit was their and Faith were their like singles off that album. I don't know how popular they were. I think Faith was actually pretty popular, but
Fred Durst making a George
Counterfeit
Michael song and trying to make it badass.
It's
not. I mean, it was.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad venture. I don't know. He didn't do.
I'll be honest. I will guilty pleasure sing either of those songs.
Yeah.
Either version of them if they came out of the car. I will sing Faith.
I love me some Faith. I love me some George Michael. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good time, and I still listen to it and have a good time with it.
But this intro question, I know some of them kind of lead into the topic. This one really has nothing to do with it. But
it really doesn't.
It's fun, and we wanted to do it anyway. But
you can't stop us.
Today's topic was one that is near and dear to all of our hearts, and I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't love at least one or more of the movies in the series. But what we're talking about is Indiana Jones, and I mean you have 4 major motion pictures, a TV series, and a minimal toy line.
Was there like a kid one, or is it just the like
young
adult?
I believe it's the young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah,
and it's just the kid.
It's like 3. I think it's like 3 or 4
one.
seasons.
It's not the same actor because the actor in the third movie is actually River Phoenix, and I think we know why he's not.
But he's younger.
He's also deader-ish.
Yeah.
Whenever the TV show came out, I'm guessing.
I'm sure he would have said no. Anyways.
But yeah, the actor it's Sean Patrick Flannery in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I don't want to jump too much into that topic, but just throw out there tidbit of trivia. You may know him from Boondock Saints
and Boondock Saints 2.
Yes, as the
All Saints Day,
not Daryl Dixon character. It's like everybody knows him as Daryl Dixon now. I can't remember what his real name is.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter. White trash guy.
White trash guy. That there's several ladies that just stopped listening to this podcast because we said that.
Like the 2 ladies. That was,
the
2. But yeah, it's. I caught a little bit of it. It seemed, I mean, they didn't have the budget of the movies, so there's not like the adventures were very highfalutin.
I remember watching it, but I don't have any memories of it specifically, other than like I thought it was enjoyable at the time. I'm definitely more, the movies are it for me. The original trilogy. I have of the 3 of us here, I have still yet to see The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Scott, I know that you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it,
and I know Josh, you have some mixed feelings on it. I know you didn't care for the CGI as one of the
it wasn't good.
It was.
I mean that's it.
I'm not a fan of using CGI when you can actually build a set or actually go to a location. Like
I agree
you're making $1 million plus movie, and like really you're gonna go to a soundstage and use CG to do your set. Just not necessary.
What the reality is, it's probably more so that they're just making it easier for what's his name, Harrison.
Ford.
He's like, I don't want to go in the desert, so can you just make it around me?
I think they could have done it better because just looking at previous films and the sets that they created, like Temple of Doom, for instance, when they're in the underground mining, and the children are mining. Like, that's a pretty elaborate set.
Yeah.
That is a
with
very big, elaborate set. Many just it's very deep. I mean, just little tidbits of just layer after layer after layer, and just things happening. So many intricate pieces moving around it. And then you look at the sets of the 4th movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and you're just like, where did the creativity go?
Yeah.
To do the type of things that they did in that.
I think it'd be like a good comparison would be like if you go to Disney World and how they have a lot of that interactive stuff.
Yeah.
If they someday replaced it with modern technology that maybe did like a hologram or something like that, instead of having that tangible physical thing there.
Just like that one video game that's now on PS2 or PS3.
Yes. What is it? Time Traveler.
Is it Time
I
Traveler?
believe it's called Time Traveler, and if everybody remembers, I was just showing Scott, I think somebody made like a homebrew version of it or something, because I saw a picture online of a PS2 copy of Time Traveler, which, if anybody remembers, it was a huge unit in an arcade that was probably about waist high to an adult, maybe a little bit taller, and it had like a top that projected like a little hologram of the main character and any conflicting characters that he was fighting against. Like,
was
he a
fighting
cowboy or
he
something?
was. I think he was a cowboy, and I think was it just a fighting game or was it an adventure game?
I think it was more of a, and this is my recollection, so there's maybe no fact to this at all. I think it was more of a Dragon's Lair kind of game, where you had to do the quick reaction to things.
Yeah.
And I think it was randomized, because I feel like I was always like, on time, and I don't think I ever succeeded at anything on that game.
Yeah, I never made it past like the first at
were
least 10 seconds.
This thing costs a lot of electricity to run, so we can't have too many people playing it too long.
to really pump in.
It has to be like a 10-second game.
I don't want anybody getting good at this, because it can't happen.
Yeah, that's pretty much my recollection of it.
Yeah.
But,
so I think we kind of jumped ahead.
Yeah, we did.
We totally did, and that's my fault. But how about we do this? And I know everybody has their favorites of everything, but I thought maybe we could kind of just determine who's what Indiana Jones guy, and which of the three original. I'm assuming typically people are going to pick from the original three as their favorite. I mean, if somebody wants the fourth one to be their favorite, no more power to them, but I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I probably won't do that.
But Josh, why don't you go first this time, because I feel like I'm always the hog.
Josh.
Sure. My favorite movie would be Temple of Doom. Just
my favorite part.
Great.
Is it the temple when he has to do like the praying and then down on his.
No, that's the Last Crusade.
Is that Last Crusade?
Yeah.
Last
Holy
Crusade.
cow!
Yeah. That's when he's looking for the
Oh,
Holy
you're
Grail.
mixing it up.
Yep.
This whole time.
So,
I was Temple Doom and the Invisible Bridge.
Yep. That's
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
I remember that.
The Penitent Man is the one where he
Man.
is
The blades that come.
Yep.
I feel like a fool.
Penitent Man bows before. Yep.
Now let Josh talk about Temple of Doom.
I'm sorry.
now.
Talk about your temple.
I mean, Temple of Doom is just a great movie all around. I mean, the storyline, the way
That one's about the stones.
that's about the 3 stone. Well, it's the stone from the village, but there's 3 stones in the temple when they later on when they find them. But yeah, the Shankara stones, and it's in the village, and the Thuggy cult is revived, and this temple becomes alive again. And so they come in the night and steal the stone and the children to be a labor workforce.
Yes.
And so that's so.
I always forget about the children for some reason until I watch it again. I remember the
and so
stone.
that's the main story plot line. But the movie doesn't start there. The movie starts. You're in like a restaurant style, almost like lounge.
It's like
with
an Asian.
Yeah, and there's people dancing and there's a singer. So it's like it's just like
pretty elaborate.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And so you start off there, and then there's like a trade deal between Indiana Jones and some other. I think it's Lao She is the villain's name. Lao She at that particular moment in the movie. It's only like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get some. Indiana Jones is trying to get some stone, but Lao She is trying to get. It looks like a decorative. It's actually a decorative urn, is what it is. And so he says, I want this. The guy Lao She says, I want this, and he's like, well, give me the stone. And so they do the swap, and in the urn is supposed to be some emperor dynasty, whatever. And so when they do the swap, Indiana Jones is like, well, thank you, and he takes a drink, and in the drink it's poison. And so for the next 2 or 3 minutes, Indiana Jones is like, all right, give me the antidote. And so this whole thing ensues where they're kind of running around the casino dance floor area, and people are shooting, and there's pandemonium. So, and then they jump out the window, Indiana Jones and the lead singer, and they land in the car, and that's where you finally.
And she's the lady of the.
She is the lady of the
the
movie.
Yes.
She's
She's the blonde one, right?
the blonde one. Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember her name, but
she's not very memorable, honestly.
She's not. But interesting fact is she's actually married to Spielberg now.
She's been in a lot of his movies.
Yeah,
she was in Carrie.
They met on that set.
Yeah.
Yep, on that set. Well, when they finally jump out of the window and they land in the car, that's when you finally meet Short Brown,
aka Data,
aka
Joshua
Data.
Sanchez.
Yes. Yeah, aka me.
You could be that. Yeah. You could be Short.
Josh is our Short Round.
So that is my favorite movie, and that's the opening part, and it's really cool because there's an Easter egg there when they actually drive past the front of the club. There's a lot of Easter eggs in Indiana Jones and Star Wars, but the club's name is.
Say it. Say it.
Obi-Wan.
You told us, but
Obi-Wan.
we want you to say it because you need to have that.
And you're handsome.
You deserve that.
Obi-Wan. Club Obi-Wan.
I have to say, Temple of Doom. It had some crazy things go down.
It's so awesome.
Kalima.
They got the kid driving the car and this crazy car chase.
Yep.
They have them. Don't they jump out of a plane on a
raft?
raft?
That on the snow
part was like, I was like, don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's funny because in that part when they're doing the chase scene, Indiana Jones and the girl and Short Round, they actually get to the airport, and when they're getting ready to board the plane, the person who's like, well, thank you for being here, Indiana Jones, or the plane's here, we met your accommodations. The person who's actually helping them board the plane is actually Dan Aykroyd.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was him until a few months ago when I rewatched the movies, and I was like, that's because I didn't see him, I heard his voice, and I was like, that sounds like Dan Aykroyd, and I'm like, who is? Because he's like off in the distance, and he comes closer to the camera. I'm like, that's Dan Aykroyd, and it's just for that one couple of seconds, and he's like, all right, bye. So when they get on the plane, Indiana Jones, the guy Lao She comes driving up, and he's like, well, we bested Indiana. I don't know the exact terms, but Indiana Jones we bested you this time, Lao She, and he closes the door. And as he closes the door, Lao She's name is on the door.
I remember that.
It's his airline, and so he's like, he's like laughing, and all his goons are laughing, and then he points at the pilot, and the pilot's like, yeah, we got this. We got this.
That's such a good reveal.
Yeah, I do. I remember
really good.
the closing, and then there's the name.
There's a Lao. Yeah, we got
it's
you,
not
Lao
on the
She.
inside, so he
it's
doesn't
on.
see it.
No,
because the door's open. The door's open, so
you
when
only
he
see
closes
some of the
door,
letters.
it looks like a regular car door. So he closes the door, and it says it right on the door.
On the outside, so you can't see
This
it.
is one of those little crappy planes.
Yeah, it's like it's got one engine in it. Whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, it had a lot of crazy things, and then. I mean,
I
hate to
rip a heart out of it.
Yeah,
I
was gonna go there. I don't want to jump things, but I guess the most memorable is the heart ripping.
Oh man, yeah,
and just the whole it takes 15 minutes for him to rip out some.
I'm gonna have to hold you here for a while.
I'm getting in there, and it's always on top of it, inside.
His fingernails is just really slowly getting in there.
It's like you're chafing me right now. I don't even feel it. Okay, you're in. You're in.
And the guy's just like, you just took my heart out. And he's just like,
he's surprising is very okay.
It's perfectly disconnected from each vein and artery.
Exactly. And I like the special effect they use too, because when his hand comes out, you can see his skin just go and just kind of seal itself up. It's really cool.
Play-Doh.
It's like stop motion or something.
Oh yeah,
it's like stop motion.
Wallace and Gromit just squeezes back together right there.
Oh man. But yeah, and it's just a very traumatizing point in my childhood when you see it happen. Yeah. And isn't this the one with all the eating all the gross stuff?
Yes, that's before that. So when they finally get to the village, after jumping out of the plane,
are they part of the bad guys?
No, they're just people there because it's a palace and it's supposed to be I don't remember who the kid is, but the kid is he's the new emperor or whatever of the area, and so he's just holding this banquet to show we're here now. We're the rulers or whatever. So he's just all these major people. there's like a British captain there eating with them, and then when they find out that it's Indiana Jones, the guy, like the host, he's like, "You're the Indiana Jones, the professor," and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, then you got to be one of our guests." So they bring him in, and that's where they have
All the
gross food,
baby snakes,
and it's the baby snakes, and it's so funny
Monkey
because the girl's like, "Can I have something like soup?" And then they bring the soup, and then they dip the spoon in, and all the eyeballs come up.
That was a very difficult
Uh-huh.
part.
Yeah.
When I was little, I'm like, come on.
So then, Nick, your childhood impression is this is what foreign food is like.
That's what
I'm never leaving.
That's what I thought. I was like, that's what they eat in India.
I'm never leaving the United States.
Snakes
Save
and
me.
eyeballs.
Yep. So
And don't forget monkey brains.
monkey brains, yeah,
monkey
chilled
brains.
monkey
Chilled
brains.
monkey brains.
Dessert,
Brains.
chilled monkey brains.
Oh man,
Yes.
crazy foreigners with their crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
But it had, and and then there's the whole let's try and do it with the blonde lady dance because
Yeah.
they keep getting their like wires crossed. Do they ever do it?
No, they don't. They don't. They
That's
actually
right. They kiss a
after
little
after the dinner, they go back to their rooms, and Indiana Jones comes into her room, and they're talking, and it's so funny. I think he says something like, "I have something you want," and she's like, "You don't have anything I want," and he's got his hand behind his back, and then he like turns around, and it's an apple, and he takes a bite out of it, and she's super starving, and so she's like, "Well, I'm gonna take the apple," and she sees the apple, and that's where they start the banter back and forth, and it stops where he says, I don't even remember how it goes. So it was something like, I'm gonna give you the best night of your life or whatever. And Indiana Jones is like, well, I've had experience with this before because I'm a professor, and I'm gonna do some study on you. And she like takes offense to it, and that's where they get mad. And she's like, I'm gonna have you back here in like, I don't remember, like a certain amount of time. And then that's when Indiana Jones goes back to his room, and she's in her room, and they're kind of stewing, looking at the clock, waiting for it to stop, or waiting for the time to count down. And then that's where Indiana Jones gets attacked by an assassin.
That's right.
And so she's waiting in her room.
She's like getting frustrated.
Yeah,
waiting.
and then finally, he defeats the guy with the whip, and the guy's hanging, and he comes rushing into her room. And after she's like,
he's acting all alert.
Yeah, he's like, looking
under
around,
things
and
and
she's like,
things.
I'm right here. Be gentle. I'm right. And she's like on the bed, like, what are you doing? And then he finally goes over to the statue, and he's like, it's a statue on a pillar, like a naked, like
it's a naked lady. I remember
and
now.
He's like
the
feeling her
curves.
up and he's like feeling, and she's like, I'm right here. And so he ends up pushing on the statue right on the boobs.
And that's the secret switch.
And that's the secret passage to go in. And she's like, whoa, what the, So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
So who was the person that attacked him? Was it?
It was just one of the thuggy assassins. They don't, it's just like a
random foreign people
character.
that want to kill Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so this takes him where?
This takes him into an I don't know if it's underground.
Is it the end place where all the bad people are?
No. This is underground, and it's very dark. They're like in a cave, and him and Short Round are under there. And
is that where they get in the trap?
This is when they get trapped. But before that, they're walking, and they're like, they hear the cracking. They hear the cracking and stuff. And he's like, "What is that?" And Short Round's like, "I don't know. I feel like fortune cookie." And that's when they puts the fire down, and you can see all the bugs, and they're like, "Ugh!" And they try to
just shove stereotypes down that kid's throat.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Just to talk about Short Round real fast, I was reading the trivia on here, and apparently he wasn't even in for the audition. His older brother was.
Oh, really? I didn't.
He
know
was
that.
there for moral support, and he was like,
oh
coaching.
yes, I did.
He was coaching the
yep.
older brother, and they picked him.
Yep.
It's just so funny because like he was just like a local Asian kid, that they just that was the casting. They were just that's
So
what it said. They were just had a little casting.
So
call
I guess
for
this
local
was
Asian
before Goonies then.
Yeah,
I'm sure
this would predate Goonies.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Great movie, by the way.
Yes, Short Round Data, wonderful,
amazing.
Wonderful person. The peanut butter solution. Don't forget about.
Oh yeah, he's in that as well.
Yeah.
Peanut Butter Solution.
Great
movie. Oh man,
it's just awful. Just the worst movie ever.
Very off-putting.
Very
awfully
great.
A lot of good ideas that are just packaged in the worst kind of packaging.
When you watch it as a child, it's super
terrifying.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's super awesome and
go
terrifying.
Ahead and say that the dude that wrote it was really high on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it must have been.
He had
possible.
to be really messed up.
He was on something.
He was I don't know.
But anyways, back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
So after they're crunching on the bugs, the fortune cookies. That's when they actually get into the chamber with the spikes coming up, and Short Round leans against the wall and triggers it.
Sure.
And that's the whole back and forth. And then after they get through that, that's when they get.
Put her hand.
She has to put her hand
to
through the
stop
goo
it.
to stop it, and then she
the
comes
goo,
in and she's like, "Get him off me! Get him
all the
off me! Get
bugs.
him off me!" And then
They're so big. They're like enormous.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's pretty.
That
gross.
movie is like the grossest of them.
Yeah,
it really plays on your stomach.
Yeah,
with the turning of the.
And a part that I have to jump to, and I'm sorry that I'm the catchphrase stealer. You got to go with "No Time for Love," Dr. Jones.
That's actually in the first 5 minutes of the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. That's in between when they're running around in the casino bar area up top in the club. After they jump through the window because the girl finds the antidote.
Is he driving the car when he says
he's
that?
driving the car.
Okay.
The girl finds the antidote, and because she's looking for the diamond, because she sees the diamond, but the girl grabs the antidote and sticks it down her shirt. And Indiana Jones finds a diamond, and then as they jump out, he knows that she has the antidote, and so he's digging in her shirt to try to get the antidote, and that's when Short Round's like, "No time for love, Dr.
Short.
It's pretty great.
He's so well versed in love and sexuality. Yep. Men and women together. How old is he? Like
he's little.
He's little. They don't really say his age.
It's gotta be like, if you click on it,
he's probably like 10 years old.
What's he got going on now? There he is.
I think he's a stuntman.
Really?
I think he's a stuntman now. Yeah.
His last actor credit's 2002.
It doesn't say stunt work. You lied right to our face.
It is stunt.
Yeah.
There it is. Holy cow! How many? 2.
Yeah, 2009
Enigma
was the last one.
and X-Men.
He's a stunt coordinator and a stunt rigger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There he is. Goonies.
Interesting.
Breathing fire. Wait, go back down. Let's see what his last thing was. Second time around. Encino Man.
Yeah, he's Encino Man. He's the computer club guy. Computer club. Remember that? He's that guy.
I do not remember.
It's adult data.
Yeah, it's adult data.
It's adult data.
Yep.
All right, Scott. Or Josh, are you satisfied with
I can continue the entire podcast with Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom's pretty
because
good.
it's just so great. Like I'll talk just like a minute more.
No,
and
okay, go ahead. Hey, don't
my best and most favorite part in the whole movie is actually towards the end when they're escaping from the temple in the mines, and they're doing the roller coaster ride on the mine cars.
Yes, that's a great.
Badass.
That was the greatest thing. I just remember watching that over, and I was like, "This is the great. I want to ride this roller coaster.
Why doesn't this exist?
I want to ride this." Well, I think it's Disney Paris actually has.
Oh, really?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Give it to them.
So now that's you got to play in your European trip with your
I
wife and go there. Now.
I gotta go to Paris and ride the Indiana Jones.
Just be like, honey, I just want to go to Paris with you.
It's
no ulterior
No,
motive.
we're here. Let's go to Disney.
Oh my God, they have a Disney.
I didn't even know.
Jones
I
ride.
literally just Googled it. There it is. Oh, I bought tickets.
That's my
I
favorite
don't know
thing.
how.
I must have just clicked on something.
You know how those in-app purchases are so easy.
You know how you click on things and enter all your credit card information, and then all of a sudden you have
It's
something.
You have
There.
something that you don't expect.
Dang it, Google Pay.
Google Pay.
But that's my favorite part. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Cool.
It's good stuff. I mean, I guess I'll go. It's kind of a tough decision because I've watched them all several times. I probably watched, the last two the least, but Raiders of the Lost Ark was, and it was kind of nice because I actually got to show my wife this. I don't think she's ever either seen it or she just saw parts of it, but we watched it recently, and it's got so many it doesn't have to. It doesn't rely on gross out as much. It still has that disturbing PG-13 violence that they somehow managed to slip in and not get rated R for.
They like to make foreign things really foreign too. Like everybody's evil and everybody's got gross food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And just with certain fights, the fight on the airplane with the mechanic. And his inevitable demise is pretty awful. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember all. There was just very many. I mean, of course, the end with the exploding, melting Nazis. But there was a lot more before that. That was it was pretty shocking. And I think it actually was rated PG because I don't think they had PG-13 at that time.
It was actually, I read a little bit of trivia. It was supposed to get an R rating because of the head exploding.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the face melting; it was the one head exploding. And I guess they knocked it back down by adding some extra fire, like to cover.
There is some fire to cover it. Like it's very hard.
That was added after the fact to drop the rating.
That's crazy. That I don't see how that.
Because they just said it just covered it enough.
It was still
I guess.
incredibly disturbing for my childhood.
I thought it was awesome.
It was awesome.
I was like, whoa.
That guy is
That's
dead.
what happens when you look at the Ark of the Covenant and these things happen.
I still don't, and I know you. I think you guys have told me all this. I don't know how he knew not to look at the Ark of the Covenant. Explain that to me really quick. How did he know?
He explains it in the movie. He's like towards the end. Because that's what they always do.
That you can't, like, he's reading something.
You can't, and he's like he's like remembering back, and he's telling what's her name, the girl.
Yeah,
and he tells them they're
tied up, and she's like, "Don't look. Whatever happens, don't." Yeah, that's what he's saying to her. He's saying,
but isn't there? They don't. Do they mention it any time earlier before?
I think he reads it like it's just like in passing. He's reading it something like the splendor of God. No one can like look at
because it's really subtle. Because I never picked up on it.
Yeah, it's real. Like it took me probably like 4 or 5 times watching it to see it.
A lot of times it is subtle. Like,
it's really quick.
Even in the third one, like it's a lot of subtle hints of what to do and not to do. Essentially.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I could be making it up.
And something I want to address real quick, not to derail you, Scott, but like the music is so iconic. Dun, 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 dun,
and of course, it has the most amazing beginning of any movie with the.
How can we skip over that?
You can't really. It's with, and it has a couple of like well-known actors that are like
John Williams who scored it.
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
But it has his two like helpers who are obviously devious people. But one of them's I think he was the same guy who played Doc Ock in the first set of Spider-Man movies.
Why can't I think of that?
I don't know his name, but he definitely ends badly for him. But just with all the awesome things, and it's more of like on the edge of your seat as opposed to gross out stuff. It's still very violent and disturbing, but it's a well choreographed scene. And in my film teacher, he always used it and another movie as a good example of time, like changing time in movies, and basically what that means is extending time. So like with him running, doors going down, he's still running, doors going down, he's running some more, and the door is still coming down, and it's not getting any more closed, but he's still running, and then of course he makes it. He still has time to grab his hat.
And how many countless times has this been parodied? I mean,
so many times.
That's the most iconic scene. I mean, the idle sandbag swap, and then the boulder coming.
The boulder coming. Yeah.
I mean, that has been parodied so many times.
Well, another one that another example that he used of time. I think it was time dilation. I don't know if that's true, but was the Monty Python where the guy's running. And it's do. And he's like, "Do you see that out there?" And it's like do. And he's so far away. Do. And he's like, "Yeah, I think I see it." Do. And he's still far away. And then all of a sudden he's there, and he's like, "Hey!" And he punches the other guy. He's like, "So those are my two examples for," and that was it.
And you're like, "I don't understand."
But I was like, I don't even remember. I've seen this movie, and that was hilarious. I did not remember how funny that part was, but it was just some good examples. I don't know. Do you have any good tidbits about Raiders of the Lost? I'm sure there's like a gajillion.
There is, but I want to make sure that you don't overlook one of the most favorite scenes in the movie, where there may be a certain person that was a little more choreographed than the other.
Oh, the guy with the sword and that he shoots. I feel like it's so well known. I think it's the most well-known trivia fact about that movie.
I can't imagine skipping over talking about it though, because it's so wonderful.
So he was sick, and he never had the gun. It was supposed to be gone, and he was sick, and he didn't want to do the choreographed fight scene. Is that what it was?
Yes. Yep. He had food poisoning, like a lot of the rest of the crew.
He's like, I don't want to I don't want to do this. I'm just gonna shoot the guy. Can I have a gun? So did they have to reshoot anything to give him the gun to make sure that he had the gun?
The scene just wasn't happening. He it said after a couple like failed attempts, he said he made the suggestion. Why don't I just want to shoot the guy? Sucker? He said it even has it in quotations. Why don't I just shoot the sucker?
So he did have the gun the whole time, and they were going to go through.
I don't know whether he did or not. Like, okay. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it doesn't just pull it out of inside his shirt. Essentially,
it's on his side. Yeah, it's got a leather satchel pouch for
him. So I mean,
poor guy.
Something else to point out to just bounce off of that tidbit, since food poisoning was the cause of that scene. One of the tidbits is like one of the few people to not get food poisoning was Steven Spielberg, because he brought tons and tons of cans of SpaghettiOs to eat rather than eat the food that they had on location in Tunisia.
That's probably a good call.
Yeah,
I think so.
I just think to myself, when SpaghettiOs are a good alternative to anything.
I wonder if that's what inspired Temple of Doom, all the grossness from Temple of Doom.
Maybe it is.
That's a pretty specific thing to happen.
They had a lot of gross food.
And they just went crazy in that movie. Just nastiness. My goodness.
All right. Give me a second.
But here's an interesting tidbit about Raiders of the Lost Ark. When they're in the desert and they're digging to find the scale city, so they can put the pole in and have the light shine through.
We gotta talk about the
pole. When they go down there, and John Rhys Davies is lowering him down. I don't remember the guy's name, the actor.
Gimli.
I don't remember his name. His character's name.
That's it.
I love him.
Yeah, but when he's lowering him down, there's hieroglyphics in the background, and you can see him if you freeze frame. There's a couple of parts, and some of the hieroglyphics are actually R2-D2 and C-3PO.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
My favorite thing about John Rhys Davies is his is he a good guy, is he a bad guy thing, and I love the way he talks. Oh, India! He's like the foreign Santa Claus.
Yeah, he's like a Santa. Yes. But I may kill you.
But I may possible. Kill you. You'll either get a nice toy or death.
It's a knife.
It's a knife.
It's in
your back.
Yeah, you're dead. But he did save him from the monkey. The monkey prunes.
Yeah, bad dates.
Yeah, bad dates.
Bad
That's
dates.
what it was, dates.
Bad dates.
Yep. Those monkeys. Poor monkey.
Yeah, the monkey's a little spy. And bad dates.
Scotty, do you want to say anything more about it? Is there any special childhood memory of you whipping things after watching, Raiders of the Lost Ark or anything?
I wish I had a whip. I know kids that have whips, and they're awesome.
Whips are nasty.
They crazy.
Can wreck you.
They have to be far away from everybody else whenever they use it. But I'm like, that is crazy. It cracks just
like the backlash.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's interesting how they correlated that, because Harrison Ford's got the scar on his chin, and he got that in a car accident when he was younger.
But then they showed
that in the beginning of the movie, because Indiana Jones is younger and he's like a Boy Scout, a troop in Nevada or something in the desert.
Isn't that in the Last Crusade? Though?
Is that the Last Crusade?
Yeah.
That's the Last Crusade. I'm sorry, I'm jumping.
The problem with Last Crusade is there's just so many parts to it.
It's
easy to mistake.
It really spans a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I'll use this as my jumping on point to be the tough guy that always picks the the one that...
It's not obvious, so I'm not mad about it.
It's obvious to me.
Yeah.
And you guys are both referencing parts from it for your movies.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I wasn't referencing it for my movie.
You're right. You were dead on.
Yeah.
But both of you referenced it for the first one.
For the first one, yeah.
And yeah, it's the Last Crusade for me is half my childhood. I watched that movie over and over and over and over and over because it had just come out, and so when I'd go to my dad's house, that was the one that was on the movie channels. So it's if it was on, I was watching it
right before all the dirty movies,
all the Cinemax.
Tales from the Crypt.
Oh my! I was too scared to watch that by myself. I'd watch it with my friends, but not by myself.
5 minutes get out
that guy's so freaking creepy.
Why does he talk like that?
Jim Henson, did you make this abomination?
Why does he look so scary?
I'm gonna watch The Dark Crystal and cool off.
Cool off. That's your cool off.
Such a messed up movie.
But it just has so much to it, and they just jam pack that movie with everything you can possibly have. Like
it's
you
nonstop.
It starts off with some
Holy
origin
Grail,
to it.
right?
Yes,
it's all about the Holy Grail.
Okay.
And so it starts off, with the young Indiana Jones, played by River Phoenix.
Yep.
And
I saw that in the theater.
I did not.
I
I wish
theater.
that I had seen it in the theater, but I
remember walking out and we were pretending like the rhino was trying to get us on the train, and we were just laying down, jumping up and down. Like, it was very goofy, but it was just what we did.
But I mean that scene in particular, I think, is a good throwback to a lot of what Lucas and Spielberg pull from as Indy's influence. Because, like, I know I've watched, like, things where it shows, like, older cinematic things. Like, I'm trying to think what they called them. There was a special word for what they were. But it was always, like, an adventure guy, and he had, like, that... what do you call
that
it?
fedora.
The fedora.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like, it even showed, like that, like, guys hanging off trains and doing stuff. You know, like, that's where, like, he's pulling that from.
Well, there was a Charlton Heston movie that had very similar, like, he got into adventures. He had the same type of outfit. I don't remember what it was called. But it was on Wikipedia if you want to take 5 seconds. And
Serials. They called them serials in the 40s, and that's what a lot like that. A lot of the homages are like, you know,
all like
harkening
stories.
back to those adventure stories. And like I said, I've just seen random clips when they're talking about Indiana Jones and a lot of like the documentaries or whatever, what have you. You know, it always showed a very similar looking gentleman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool, especially with that train scene. You know, I didn't know it at the time, but watching like that thing and them showing those clips, it's very similar. You know, and it's. And you know, they do it in their own way, but it's like it's definitely somebody that took something that they loved from their childhood and it influenced the art that they then produced.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have that intro where Indy's starting out as a Boy Scout. He starts out young. You remember that big fat kid?
Yes.
I mean, he was really fat. It was just so silly. Like, his head looked like not a grapefruit, an eggplant. It was like his cheeks were so bulbous. And he was... You remember, like, him just, you want me to get the Scoutmaster? You know what I mean? He was so ridiculous.
This is the fat sidekick.
It's so... He was so ridiculous. And, like, I think he was the one that went and got the authorities or whatever. Because remember, he's playing that bugle when he showed...
I need to watch this
movie again.
And
he's got those big fat cheeks, even bigger, because he's playing a trumpet. But this is after, you know, Indy has, you know,
he's bested the archeologist.
Yes, these guys are basically trying to steal
some kind of thing from
relics.
Coronado.
It's a cross.
What was it? A cross?
It was a cross because, like, after you know, after they best him, because he gets back to his house and he's got it in his hand and he tries to explain it to Sean Connery, who's writing in the Grail diary.
Who's writing the Grail diary,
and he's not he's super strict. And he's not even willing to listen to what he's got to say. I can't remember. He makes him do something first or something like that.
In Latin. He says, tell me in Latin. Yeah.
And then, like, you know, those guys show up with the authorities and they make him give it back to him. And then the guy says, you know, that's where he gets the fedora.
That's where he gets
the
fedora.
Puts it on his head and he says, you lost today, kid, but you don't got to like it.
Yeah.
And then
he looks up,
he looks up,
and then it's him.
And then it's him as an adult,
and it's raining,
and he's getting punched in the face.
And he's on a ship in the middle of the ocean.
Crap beat out of him, and it's that same relic that he's trying to get. And
that's a good line. You lost, but you don't
have to like it.
That's such a cool line.
And I think that guy was a good, like, even though he's a bad guy, he was like kind of an influence on young Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? It kind of give him that rascal edge to him.
Yeah.
And
like, he's not all bad. He's
got a good streak. I just like money, you know.
I'm selling
some stolen stuff. I'm not gonna kill a kid or anything.
I like drugs, and that costs money.
It's the 40s. I got an opium den to get to.
I'm going to China.
But I mean, it's so hard to minimize this to like a little tidbits for me to talk about, so I'm going to just try to jump to a few favorite things. And
it's so good. It's so good.
One of the favorite things for me, of course, is Sean Connery. I love Sean Connery as his dad. I love the comical banter back and forth between them. And, you know, Junior, you know, he's all through the movie. He's talking, you know, he's always calling him Junior, and Indy hates it. He hates him calling him Junior. You know, he gets all frustrated about it, and
call me Indiana. That's the dog's name.
You are named after the dog?
John Rice Davies.
John Rice Davies. Then he cackled. Oh,
He's laughing the entire time.
that's like one of the last lines
That's
in
the
the
last
movie
line,
because he's
dude,
like,
before
call
they
me
write
Indy.
off.
He's like, name the dog, Indy. He says, and then John, you were named after the dog.
You do know he was really named after a dog, right?
No.
Yeah, that's how they got Indiana Jones. George Lucas's dog was named Indiana Jones.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That is
Really
terrific.
named after a dog.
That's awesome.
Like, I've read it in a bunch of places, so
I'm
it's
gonna have to get a
definitely-
dog now and just name it
him
Indiana Jones.
Yes.
There's a lot more than just naming the dog, Carrie. You gotta,
Wow.
like, take it out and feed it.
I wish you'd have told me that before it died.
That was like 2 months ago. I've gone through like 13.
It was
Oh,
like,
no.
this is Indiana Jones 13. You mean the sequel? I mean the dog.
That's dog.
But I mean, and then there's so many comedic scenes even without Sean Connery. Like one of my favorite ones is when he's beating up the gentleman
On the blimp.
on the
On the-
blimp,
on the-
and after
yep.
he throws him out, everybody's all startled, and
He's
he
like,
goes,
"No
"No
ticket,"
ticket,"
and everyone's-
and they all throw their tickets up in the air.
I remember the blimp a lot. Like,
Yeah.
that was a big the impression it left on me. It was
Like the
the
Nazi
blimp
captain,
and
the Nazi
yeah,
captain
yeah.
comes on board.
And it has those same kind of moments where it's like you think that they're on the right track, and then it shows like he's going right into the belly of the beast kind
Yeah,
of scenes
yeah.
where like it shows the sign of where he's going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where Berlin or whatever, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever we do, let's not go to Berlin, you know what I mean? And then the sign shows that's right where they're driving, kind of stuff. And I mean,
what was I gonna say? It was more. I felt like there was more comedy in this one than there was with any of the other
Oh,
ones.
it's great.
And
It's
I
great.
think that was one of the little turnoffs for me. Like I enjoyed the comedy, but I'm like, this is just too light and airy. I mean, there was some super, like even the end with the lady.
the thing, yeah,
you
the
know.
lady stuff was, but the thing with all the traps, that was what was killer for me. Like that to me was like you just made a video game into a movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's got like platformer peril spot,
Yeah, yeah.
danger
Mhm.
places. That,
Oh, yeah, that
oh, I
was
got to
awesome.
duck and roll through
Yep.
these blades. Like every
That was
dude that walks in
awesome.
there before me, a head rolls out. Dude
Yeah.
walks in, head rolls
Head
out.
rolls
dude.
out.
Ah! You hear the scream,
The
head
penitent
rolls
man
out.
kneels before God. and then
Yes,
he,
the penitent man kneels before. The penitent man.
the penitent man, the penitent man, the penitent man.
And then Sean Connery's laying there like hurt, and like Indy has to go in because his dad got shot, and
Yeah.
that's why they did it. They
Yeah, it was-
shot
he was
they
mortally-
shoot
mortally
Sean
wounded,
Connery,
yeah.
and then it's like, okay, you're either gonna go get this thing, or
Yeah, because the only way your dad's gonna live is the
is
saving
you-
power of the
yes,
Grail.
Yes.
Yep.
So and the whole time he's going through each of these trials, his dad's like whispering the Grail clues.
Yeah,
you
trying
know,
to- yeah.
himself, and he's almost basically like praying.
Mhm.
During the. I know it's not praying, but just the penitent man,
The
like
penitent
you
man,
said,
the word of
chanting,
God,
yeah.
the word of
Yeah.
God. But
And once he gets past the penitent man, what is the next?
it's the letters, the word
It's
of
the
God,
letters,
the
yes,
word of
yes.
God, and he's like, but in he says like, but in the language, it's not spelled with a J, it's
Yes.
spelled with a Y.
Yes.
And Indiana Jones doesn't realize that, and he
And he
steps on. He's
stomps
like,
that
"Whoa!"
J,
And you
and you
the-
see that
yeah, and you
cavernous,
see
like
the
with no
underneath,
end.
You
Yeah,
see
it's
the
like a
underneath, and he's hanging
sinkhole,
there,
yeah.
and he gets he's like, dummy, and the language, it doesn't start with a J, it starts with a Y, and then he's
Yes.
finally, yeah.
Because Indy's had that pounded into his head
Yes.
since childhood from his father, and he's like, "Oh, how do I not know that?"
Yep.
And
Mhm.
and then he gets to what is the? I know it's the bridge.
It's the bridge. It's the
Is it
bridge.
the leap of faith?
The leap of faith. Only by a leap of faith from the lion's head will.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
all
I mean,
he had to do was kind of look to the side.
Yeah,
and there
well,
was
no,
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 leap
the-
of
the-
faith.
I don't think it shows up until
the
he
thing
takes
is
a step.
because of the way the structure is built, you can't lean to the side
But then he
until
does-
you,
he
until you
does it
step
when he's
out.
on
Yes,
it.
because
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like it's an
You have-
entrance.
yeah.
Like it's an opening.
It's an opening,
Yeah.
and all you see is this cavern, and from that perspective, it looks like there's nothing there. But you have to step out, and then
Do they
you can
show
look.
like that it's like painted or what?
It's just the way it's painted, the way the structure is built.
It
like
just
all the
looks
little
like-
cracks. It looks like it's a big opening.
It just
Yeah.
looks like it's the crevasse.
And so what he- and so what he does-
There is just a bridge. It is a crevasse.
And so
then
what he
there's a
does-
bridge
yeah.
in the center
Yeah.
that you can't see.
What he
Yeah.
does in order for the people behind him to see that there's a bridge there, he takes
throws-
dirt and he just throws it
Yes.
over the bridge
Yeah.
so you can see that there's a bridge there. Just so
Yeah.
cool.
And
I
the
was
funny
like,
thing
wow.
is as a child, because like once he gets to into the Grail room, and then one of
The
the
guy.
what is he a
He's a
Templar?
he's one of the brothers. He's one of the three brothers.
Yes, that actually
was-
found the Grail.
Who,
and
yeah,
he's the
to help
last
protect it. He's the
guardian
last
of it.
one. Yes.
And like once he gets in there, like and he tells him he's got to make the choice or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, now the German guy shows up, and it's like, man, he He's just there all of a sudden,
Yeah.
because I understand now, like you said, he basically made it through all the traps, and like,
and the guy there
could
protecting
follow
it
through.
thinks that Indiana Jones is there to replace him. He's like, you're a strange looking.
He thinks
knight.
he's the next knight to take his place
because he's getting ready to fight him, and then Indiana Jones is like, I'm not here to fight you, and he's like, well, then you're here to replace me, and then that's when the Nazi comes in. He's trying to explain to him like, no, you don't understand. There's some really bad guys, and then that's when the Nazi guy comes in.
And it's like, as a kid, I was so pissed. I was like, man, that was so hard for Indy. And here's dude just rolling on through.
He did all the hard stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, and then, okay, it's time to pick which is the Holy Grail. Yeah. What is the cup of Christ? Yep. And it's like the German dude's like, oh man,
he's like, I don't know, and
he looks at this blinged out mother.
Yeah, he doesn't know, and he looks at the girl because the girl's supposed to have studied some of this, and she's like, I don't know either. And like Indiana Jones like looks at the knight, and the knight kind of looks at Indiana Jones and is like, well, we're not gonna tell you. Yeah. It's like kind of like an unspoken, we're not gonna tell you, and that's when the knight kind of perks up as like, choose.
Doesn't he say choose wisely?
Choose wisely.
Mm-hmm. And it is the man that chooses, not
the man.
The
it's the man that chooses.
And he grabs one.
It's the lady that chooses. The lady goes and picks the golden cup, and
then he says something about it's
yeah, this is fit for a king.
King of kings,
king of kings. Yeah, and then he takes the water and he. Yep. Yep.
It makes me think of the lady from Pee-wee's.
Pee-wee, yeah.
It's so kind of,
is it Bertha or something
like that? Something
like
that. The truck driver.
Yeah. And so then Indy's got to choose, of course, and he's like, he sees this crappy wooden cup over there. It's this cup of a carpenter, you know what I mean? And he scoops it in, takes a big chug, and doesn't, Pee-wee face out. Good to go, and takes it to his dad and has him drink some, and then dumps it on the bullet
hole. Yeah, and
it bubbles, and
and the knight says, there is a price of the eternal life that the cup brings. You can't take it past the seal.
Yes.
And so the girl, she forgets that, and she's like, I have the cup. After he,
she kind of gets mad with like power.
She's
almost like maniacal looking.
Like we have the cup. Like the cup is in our possession. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go find and do glorious things. Like
trying to get her
to
stop.
The seal. And then she steps past it.
And everything starts crumbling.
And yeah.
He actually, just because we've talked about it in the other ones, Indy kind of, especially in Temple of Doom, as you mentioned, he kind of uses his sexual frustration in his adventures, I think. But am I mistaken in thinking he actually made it a little bit farther?
No, he did. Yeah,
that's what I thought too.
He gets it with her, and then
doesn't she say something about he kisses like his dad or something?
It's one of those things when they're tied up. When they're tied up in one of the castles, she goes over to Indy because they're tied up back to back on the chairs, and she goes over to Indiana Jones and kisses him, and she says something to him, and they both respond.
Oh yes, yeah.
it was really. She says something like, "It was really good. Really good to have it with you." And they both go, with you."
I enjoyed
and then
it too. Yeah, Sean Connery.
Oh yeah.
and Indiana Jones is like, Dad, what are you? And he's like, and the dad's like, well, I'm a man. I have needs too.
I don't think he's great since
it's something like that. And then Indiana Jones like, but I was the next one after you, something like that.
She's young and virile.
Get over here, honey.
And I love Nazis.
I'm just doing my part for the country, tapping that hot Nazi ass.
Drop your panties.
But I have to jump to one too that I forgot that I like is when they're flying the airplane and the dad's the tail gunner and he just crosses
and blows up the tail.
The tail fin and just annihilates it. And he's like, son, they got it.
I remember that part. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was a pretty awesome part.
And I think that's what it is for me. Is like that one is the most comedic. And
it
you know
is,
me, I always love my comedy infused.
It
in
makes
things
sense.
And
it makes sense.
I love it. I love the part and just before that when they're in the. I don't know if it's before that or after that. Well, when they're in the castle and they're arguing and they're trying to escape.
And the thing keeps turning.
Well, I think it's before that. I think it's before that. They're in the castle and they're in the room. Indiana Jones is trying to rescue his dad, and he's like I knew you would come for me. I sent you the diary or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I'm here to rescue you. He's like, why are you here? I told you to,
I sent you the diary to keep it safe, and you brought it with you. And so when the guards come in, they're arguing still.
Yes.
And Indiana Jones is like, he's like, stop calling me Junior. And he's like, stop calling me Junior.
He gets so mad.
It
gets him. It like hulks him up.
It revs him up. And so he like punches the Nazi guy, takes the gun and shoots him. And after he shoots him, he's like,
Junior,
call me Indiana. And he's like, Junior, look what you did.
Yeah. Junior, look what you did. Yeah, he like killed those people. And he's like,
yeah, I know. Let's go. And he's like, but Junior.
Yeah, he's like all upset that he killed those people.
He really does have a high body count for being just an archaeologist.
Yes.
I mean,
Nazis
are just throwing waves at him all
I know,
the time.
and he's like, well, I guess if another one comes at me.
I kind of count the ones that die from the Ark because, he instigated that whole thing.
I think we have to jump back to something to that because how many, have you guys heard the theory that, had Indy not been involved, the Nazis would have never
I was the one who told you about this.
Go ahead then.
It was in I was reading this book and everybody should read it. It's called John Dies at the End. But in the part he talks about how he has this girlfriend and it might be this one or it might be the second one, which is there are spiders in this book. Seriously, don't open this. And that's the second book of John Dies at the End. And she says how his girlfriend always ruins movies for him because she always says things like, well, wouldn't everything just ended the same way? Wouldn't all those Nazis just died anyways when they opened up the Ark if Indiana had never been involved? And so, I think for the most part, like if he had never even gotten involved, they would have opened the Ark, they would have all died, and that would have been the end of it, and nobody else would have had any problems.
What I take solace in about that is like he got it to where it was basically put away for safekeeping.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what I feel would have happened is like, well, everybody goes up on this hill, just melts. You just have kids daring each other. There's this little kid there. Hey, go up and see what's in that box.
He didn't come back.
It does close itself at the end.
It does.
It does
close itself.
So
there
nobody.
There's
no melting hill.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody can just go up and...
It's true.
Yep.
It's a big fancy box.
I'm going to open the hell out of this. But it will close itself at the end. So.
But, that was the whole deal at the beginning, is the U.S. government came to him to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like,
find it
for us.
If
so
they'd never done that, everything would have
top man
is the idea.
Yeah.
But he would just not had an awesome adventure.
Of course, that's what the whole movie's about. It's
about the thrill of the hunt and adventure.
Did I ever tell you guys at one point when we had one of the really generic websites, I had a picture up of like the warehouse as like representation of our like stock.
Nice. Nice. It is, and it doesn't end happy for him. Like he's very upset about the Ark getting put away.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's like,
it should belongs in a museum. Yeah.
Brr.
Yep.
But have you guys ever watched Warehouse 13? I always think of that warehouse, in
I have not.
because it's just
my dad watches it all the time. You can talk to him later.
I will. Me and him will sit down and watch it, and then some NCIS.
He always tries to talk to me. He's always like, "You watch Warehouse 13?" I'm like, "Dad, it's been on for like 2 seasons. I'm not gonna watch it."
It's been on a lot longer.
It's been on a lot longer.
I've made my choice.
I'm gonna watch it eventually. I'm the kind of person.
Just wait till it's over, and then
I'm the kind of person like
watch
shows like that. Like I don't have cable.
I'm thinking it's got to be at least 5-6 seasons deep.
Yeah, I usually wait till it's a couple of seasons in, and then I'll watch it.
It's fun. It's silly. It's cheesy, but it's fun. The thing for me is it's all relics and stuff that has fantastic powers and stuff like that. So,
and they're just watching over it.
Well, I guess that's a segue into the fourth movie.
Ooh.
Because, the warehouse is where they stored the Ark. And, here's another interesting fact, is the Ark box is in one of the Star Wars movies.
What?
Yeah, it's in the background of one of the Star Wars movies.
And is it
when
or something?
When they're in Cloud City, and they're looking through the junk stuff, and the box is in the background, and you can clearly see, because they actually like black out the Nazi symbol in the movie in the Indiana Jones. When they put it in the box, you could see it kind of like it's blacked out, but you can see the box in the background if you look closely.
Really cool.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, going to the warehouse, that's where
the fourth movie kind of picks up is in the warehouse.
And all you need to survive an atom bomb is a refrigerator
lined with lead.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess it has to be lined.
It's got to be lined with lead because he looks in the door and he sees that it's lined with lead, and then it's when he goes.
And that's how he knew he's going to survive.
He's going to survive
atomic.
What was the point of lining a refrigerator with lead? Do you have to?
That's just what they did back then.
It's one of those things that's it helps keep the cold in. Gotcha. Yeah. Mm. It's an insulation. It's a soundproofing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because our lives weren't interesting enough, we had to have something else that would kill us.
Yes.
Of course.
I mean, what store our food inside of this lead box?
It'll be fine. No, and yeah, it's a pretty fantastical. I thought it was a good intro. Like, I was fine with it. I mean, some people are a little upset about it, but I thought it was a great way to begin the movie.
You know why I'm afraid of it?
Because of herpes.
It's almost the same thing.
Shia
LaBeouf is the herpes of my childhood.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
Because he's just taken and herpes all over that Transformers.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But I have a rule when it comes to movies. I won't watch certain movies if there's a lead actor or actress in it that I just completely dislike. But if they're not the lead actor and they're a supporting actor with one of my A-lister movies,
it just kills me that he's his son.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's through him and Miriam.
I mean, I at least like that those are the two that spawned him.
I'm glad they brought her back.
Yeah, that was cool.
And of all the girls, they brought her back.
Well, the German lady was not coming back.
She
crawled up out of the zombie German lady.
Out of the crevasse.
It's like her and Boba Fett escaping.
The butthole.
The almighty Sarlacc.
That's because she put out.
That's why. Yeah.
It's
put out.
Jason rules here,
Jason
baby.
rules.
She's
You
down there
gotta
getting stabbed by Jason.
Yep.
That's what you get for being a Nazi.
But see, if she would have climbed out, they would have had a different child, and it wouldn't have been Shia LaBeouf. But it could have been, either way. It could have been Grandpa Jones's or Papa Jones.
Oh man,
we would have never known because it's
like
very similar.
Very
similar DNA. Very similar DNA.
Considering she was with two guys in the same night, she probably was pregnant. Let's say that.
There's a good chance.
And Sean Connery didn't even know the pull-out method. I mean, this was predating. It's like that hadn't even been invented yet.
Last pornography I watched was in the 20s.
Her ankles were scandalous.
I had to go somewhere, and it was a real girl.
What's a real girl? They had her in a little box, and you just put a quarter in, and she'd pull the curtain up, and there you'd see her dirty ankles.
Dirty. But
that movie in the grand scheme of Indiana Jones movies ranks very low on my list.
It doesn't necessarily. I think it was just fine, but it doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the themes of all of them. Basically, being more religious oriented.
Well, it kind of
Holy Grail, Ark of the Covenant.
It kind of is because it's the whole. The Indian or the Native American tribes worshipped the crystal skull. That's what the whole.
But
theme
there
of
was
it.
no
there wasn't
no twist of all the other ones where it wasn't
true.
It was always religious, and that was it.
And that was kind of like that was
different.
Supposed to be the tie. Was the crystal skull was the religious, but they made it more of the whole alien.
It's
thing.
More grounded.
It was
more grounded with aliens. I don't know.
I know that's a big hatred for a lot of people is they don't like the alien aspect. They don't
It was disappointing, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. I'm sorry.
And I'm going to eventually watch it just because I have to.
I kind of want to watch.
I've watched all of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. I'm just dumb if I don't watch the new Indiana Jones.
I mean, yeah, you are dumb because you watched Shia LaBeouf and the Transformers #1.
Just watch it. It's a good fun movie to watch.
Less Shia LaBeouf
but
in this
Shia
movie
LaBeouf isn't the reason why I dislike the movie. Right. The reason why I dislike the movie is the excessive use of CG where it just wasn't needed. Like at the beginning of the movie or towards
Lucas is like, hey, I want to show you something. Have you seen what I've been doing to these movies, these old movies?
I've been ruining the hell out of them. It's great.
These elaborate sets that they made in the previous Indiana Jones movies. Temple of Doom, the greatest movie for me. the set underground, the mining with all the kids running around, and just like all the intricacies of the ropes and the ladders and the rock crusher, and just all that was on one set.
Do you guys think we'll ever see anything like that again, or do you think CG has killed it?
No, I think
Peter
it's
Jackson uses a lot of
it's
scale.
It's varied, but I think a lot of people are leaning too heavily on CG for that stuff.
It's just easier. It's like there's no risk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because no matter what, somebody's going to make that work. Like you have to make it work in person, and that's a much more challenging thing.
It's true.
And in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and the movie opens up with I think it's them driving down a road, and it's like a caravan of these army trucks, and then this like I think it's a 40s or 50s car comes speeding up beside it or whatever, and kind of passes it, and then they get to the area that they're going to, the caravan, and you find out that it's Russians. They shoot the guards. They go into Area 51. They go to the warehouse, and this is where it's like, really, you really had to use CG here. They get out of the truck, and you can clearly see that they're on a sound stage. And so the lighting is terrible, and they're standing there, and as they like pan across, and you can kind of see like the perspective of the floor kind of changes, and you can see where the real floor ends and the CG floor begins, and the rest of the desert is completely fake. And I'm like, you didn't even need to do that. Like you could have. That's like a day's worth of shooting. You could have been like, you know what? Let's get a couple of really, really good campers that are really good AC. Let's park them behind this fake warehouse and just keep the actors in there until we absolutely need them. Let's go out and film this, put them back in the trailers. It's like, was it really needed to be filmed on a soundstage?
And the thing about that, like, they didn't have to do it on a soundstage. They do. There's a lot of green screen work that you have no idea that was there, because what they do is, like, let's say they're in New York and they want it to be empty.
Yeah.
Okay. So what they do is they shoot it on New York Street. They put a big green screen tarp right down the center lane, so you can't see what's going on behind them, and they just make it empty. But they take the buildings, they leave the buildings in there, and they just take out all the people.
Or they go in and film several passes. They go in and film several passes of the street.
That's a way to work it into the natural environment to get it the way you want it to be.
Because I was reading an article, and they showed so many of those things where they just seamless green screen, where, you know, even stuff like, oh, there's a house there, but I want there to be no house.
Yeah,
there.
I want
so
there to be an
open
open
field.
Put a green screen
house,
there,
and then everything else is good. And then nobody's gonna notice one little spot where they you know.
But it's just that
rather than half the environment being fake.
Exactly.
I just remember seeing the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in the theater, and as I just remember sitting there, and I think it was with my wife or with friends. I don't remember who it was. I just remember sitting there going, "Really? Like, is this what this movie is gonna be? Is gonna be endless CG just sprinkled throughout, horrible CG.
It is really awful CG.
It's terrible. Like the monkeys jumping out of the
and
forest.
What is it? Are they like ants or something?
Ants.
Yeah,
the ants.
It just. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, did they just choose the wrong CGI guys? Because I know he can do.
Because it was better at the time than it was.
He can do good CG.
But I think Skywalker did that. Was it? It was Skywalker Ranch that did it, or ILM. And
I don't know why it came out so bad. I don't know.
It was really bad.
It was noticeably bad.
Because it wasn't even up to par for other stuff at the
time.
It
wasn't. For the time period, it was
awful.
Is it possible maybe they had it in works way earlier than it was released, and the technology advanced too fast?
I don't think so. I think it was possibly a budget thing.
They got Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, I think it was a budget thing. I think it was a budget thing where they have these kind of well-known actors. Of course, Harrison Ford coming back to reprise Indiana Jones.
I just feel like
I just think it was a budget thing.
I feel like if you have that many heavy hitters, you do whatever you want.
Because you do it right, it's going to make a ton of money.
Yeah,
and you just like Steven Spielberg. Why would he? I don't know. Why would
he? You do it wrong. You get the diehards, and then the word starts to spread about the problems, and then your box office tapers off. You know what I mean? Because it's like if people leave that and they're like, it's the best thing ever. I mean, people are gonna keep going, but people leave and are like, it kind of sucked. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna drop, and there's gonna be a big drop off.
And they were really good. Like the scenes with like the the car chase scene was really good. Like, it was
Yeah.
well orchestrated.
Yeah.
It just had awful CG.
Awful CG. Like
Awful
when they're in the
CG.
forest,
Like in
when they're in
green
the
screen, too.
when in the forest, and then there's this big vehicle that's chopping down trees, and it just looks really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. And that's
Yeah.
what killed me was the special effects, because the previous movies, yeah, they didn't have like the crazy special effects of today, like the computer animation.
But they still
stuff.
hold up.
But I mean, the whole mine shaft ride in Temple of Doom, like, I just remember watching it so many times back and forth, trying to figure out, like, are those real people in there? And years later, I saw a behind the scenes thing, and all that is miniatures.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's all miniatures that they
and I love
built.
I love the miniatures.
It's
Star
so
Wars. It
great.
works for
It's
Star
so
Wars. It
great.
works for
Yeah.
Indiana
It's
Jones.
so great, and it's like it's just the way that you can light the miniatures, and
It
and
looks just
it
real.
it looks so real, and that's something
'Cause
that's
it is
still
real.
that's
It's a
something that's
real
really
thing that you can
hard.
touch.
That's something that's really hard to do in computer animation. Like,
You
you
have
have
to,
to
like,
make it a point to light it a certain way. You can't just put a light and then find this oddity that actually works to your advantage. That's the way miniatures work.
Making it.
But when
work.
you're doing it in CG, you have to know, like, okay, I put this light here. This oddity isn't going to appear unless you make that oddity appear in a computer animation. So
Yeah, and it's all trying to make it fit, and there's not always time to make
Yeah.
it look completely like it fits inside of
Yeah.
whatever scene that you're shooting in. It was a very unfortunate part of that movie, but I still think the story was fine. I thought the action was great.
I do like the final scene when the spaceship finally rises up out of the big kind of mountainous area, and then the water comes. I thought they did a good job with that, because it was far enough away. The perspective was right, and there was enough motion blur and enough perspective blur and depth of field in that shot that it looked semi-believable. Because, like, what would a big cataclysm like that of this ship rising up from this temple, the temple kind of collapsing and blowing up, and then all this water come rushing into this valley? What would that?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Sorry.
After the fact.
After the fact, yeah. Just
So there's gonna be
That's
a lot
how
of
we do our
spoilers,
spoiler
yeah.
alerts.
I thought that looked cool. I was really happy with that. At the end of the movie, I was like, all right, why didn't they make the rest of the movie like that?
My addition to this conversation, since I have not actually watched the movie, have either of you watched the South Park parody of when the kids on South Park go to watch the new Indiana Jones movie?
I have
what
not.
happened?
No.
They keep claiming that Indiana Jones was raped in the theater. And then they go through, there's all these, like, the kids keep having, like, these, flashes or nightmares of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg raping Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And they take famous rape scenes from other movies, like The Accused with Jodie Foster. Like, one of them, they're holding him down on a pinball machine and raping him. And then there's another one that's Deliverance. Like,
Oh, no.
you gonna squeal like me? And there's just, like, 2 or 3 scenes of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas raping Indiana Jones.
Oh man.
And, like, I remember the kids yelling, they're raping him. It's pretty great. You'll have to check it. I'm sure there's a clip of it online.
So they mean it metaphorically, right? Like, they mean it metaphorically, or they
They
really
show
try-
it. Like, they show them. Like,
No,
they
but
mean
they-
it. Like, the
They
They
mean
mean
it like
it
they're
like
taking
the film.
they're
The
taking,
movie
they're
was a
taking
rape of
advantage of
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones because it's so terrible. Yeah.
And it's really funny. I if you haven't watched these little clips, check them out because it's pretty funny.
They're raping him. Poor Harrison. I don't think.
Hey, at least he didn't have his little diamond earring in.
Oh,
For the movie.
man, that is the
Man.
worst.
It's like, I gotta impress my skeleton lady
Oh,
of the
jeez.
wife.
She can't.
I'm
hang
married
this,
to Callista
She
Flockhart.
can't
You know.
hang this around her ear because it'll knock her over.
I
She's
think
basically a
it's-
skeletal model for a medical college with skin on it.
She has to go in every other week.
She doesn't have breasts as much as ribs with nipples on them.
They look just like mine. Ah, man. Okay, but I think we can probably wrap this up. Have we talked about them all? No, what? Oh, the 5th one. There's supposedly a
Yes,
5th
there is
one.
rumor.
And here's this is the division right now. Like if you go on IMDb, it shows as Harrison Ford being rumored. But if you go on, you know, all the gossip on the internet, Josh, who would you say that they're saying is rumored to be Indiana Jones?
Chris Pratt,
Andy Dwyer.
Andy Dwyer,
Andy Dwyer.
Burt Macklin.
I was going to say Burt Macklin.
AKA Johnny Karate.
Johnny Karate.
AKA Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, yeah.
I love Chris Pratt to death.
Yeah.
I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think he's a great comedy guy, and whatever he does. I do not think he's Indiana Jones.
I don't think he can be gritty or serious enough. But you know what? I wouldn't be disappointed.
He might make a transition. He might he maybe needs like a couple more
Jurassic
movies
Park to see how he does. I mean, I know this new movie isn't going to be that great, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt of okay, let's see what he can do.
Because how many times before have people made the jump to a serious actor?
I think it's easier to go from comedy to serious than serious to comedy.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And it's happened many times. I mean, you have Tom Hanks.
Robin Williams.
You have, I mean, both of those guys, you know, epic dramas that they've done after comedy. I mean, I know it's not quite the same caliber, but somebody like Will Smith that did something like Fresh Prince, and then they have him in, like, you know, major dramatic roles later on, and or even like adventure roles in sci-fi. You know what I mean? Like that was a bridging there. You know, he did like Independence Day. You know,
I Am Legend. Stuff like that.
Yes, and it's doable. And the thing about it is, it's easy to write somebody off because you don't see them like that. And I mean, it could be a terrible thing too. I mean, he could not be. You know, maybe he can't be taken seriously. Maybe he can't be gritty. Maybe, you know, but who knows? And I was not unhappy at all when I heard that rumor. I was like, you know, I could watch that.
I was a little unhappy. I love him to death. I really do like his characters that he plays, you know, on Parks and Rec. You know, I just do. I really like him as an actor, as a person.
He's a likable dude.
As
he's
a
good
person.
That's the thing.
Yeah, he's really
white,
good person.
You know,
of course,
non-threatening.
I mean,
non-threatening.
Yeah, why not? And he is.
But to be
plays guitar.
But to be Indiana Jones, I'm not gonna say he can't. I'm gonna say, in my book, not likely to be able to fulfill that role.
I have felt no way, either way. Like I was like, oh okay.
And I was saying to Scott a little bit earlier, I could see them. I wouldn't mind because I mean it's not a lot for the Indiana Jones franchise. I mean, there's so much. These properties explode everywhere with cartoons. Like look at Star Wars cartoons, so many movies, TV shows. I mean, like I could see it as, why don't we have 2 tracks for Indiana Jones? Let's have Harrison continue the gritty older one, and he's a little more younger and bright-eyed. I mean, like maybe he's not as serious yet. He hasn't gotten as grizzled or bitter about life kind of thing. You know, not that Indy's bitter about life, but I mean, you become hardened through things. So maybe he could be a young, optimistic Indy, like I'm an archaeologist.
Or maybe it could just be like a cut back and forth kind of thing.
And that would be wonderful too. I mean, look at the X-Men movies.
Like Lost.
Well, I would like to compare it to the X-Men movies with, you know, young and old Xavier, young and old Magneto. I love the back and forth of that.
You know,
like Jen and Son.
I'm willing to, let's say, give it a go and see what it looks like.
I'm watching.
And I honestly, that last thing is what I hope it ends up being, is the back and forth between young and old Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I know that can be rough sometimes when it's adults playing the same person, because it's like, okay, so you're going to turn into Harrison Ford at what age? Because you're a grown man.
They'll do what they did in Looper and give him some like CGI face.
That was pretty off-putting for me.
It was
off-putting, but I felt like it didn't look awful.
No,
like,
I mean, it's a smart choice. I mean, doing that
awful.
to try to have somebody that's younger play it, but then try to give them more characteristics.
I do have to say, when I first saw like the stills and some of the footage, it actually made me do like a triple take. It was like a quadruple take that I did. I was like, wait a second, is that
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
It's like, wait, it looks. Is that him, or is that such a lookalike of? No, that's him.
Yeah, I think they chose the wrong features to incorporate.
Yeah, to accentuate.
Because it's just so dramatic. It's like,
it was
Bruce
awkward.
Willis,
Some of it.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Bruce
Willis.
Yeah, the eyebrows and stuff.
True.
Well, he's got Bruce Willis's eyebrows.
Yeah. He's got his chin. I mean, it's right there. We're looking right at it. I don't know what to do with it. So, but
and Bruce Willis always has that really exaggerated cheek line.
He's a very unique-looking individual.
It's all about this cheek line. Like even when he's not making faces, he's got this big, exaggerated cheek line.
He's kind of always pressing out his lips. He's got. It's like.
I can't even do it. I can't make that cheek line happen. It's always like.
Yeah.
It's always there.
It's just. He's got metal pushing it out right now.
It's true.
Just making it happen. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. I don't know how I feel about Jurassic Park, whatever, Jurassic World. He just seems like he's doing Burt Macklin.
Burt Macklin.
But I like Burt
Dinosaur Hunter.
I would.
What did they make? What dinosaur did they make? I don't know.
Some kind of super dinosaur.
Some kind of super dinosaur. Glasses. I don't know. I don't. It was just a little too funny to kind of watch it, and so I'm not gonna.
Maybe they're playing up that part.
I'm not going into that movie expecting it to be like up here. I'm going in expecting it to be down here and hoping that it kind of meets.
But I kind of think since he's in it, it should be good.
If it beats 2 and 3, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
won't be hard.
Yeah,
yeah,
it won't be hard.
Indeed.
As long as the dinosaurs aren't talking to each other or
I say good sir.
He's
he's like holding up his model. I think it's time for us to rampage.
This tea has gotten cold. Or they're in the second one where they killed just massive amounts of Mexicans, like. I
don't even remember this. What are you talking about?
It was in the beginning when everything goes to crap.
I know.
There's
when all my
these
people
Mexicans doing their thing, and they're just like
when all my people die,
them up.
all my Mexican people die.
One by one, just raptors, dozens at a time.
Raptors.
Not even kidding.
I don't know why when
they're
you said
shooting the guns at them, they're doing nothing, and Tyrannosaurus are just eating them all up.
I think I've only watched 2 and 3 once each, so I don't have a great recollection.
It's been a while since
I'm
gonna have to go home and watch them again because I have them all.
Do it.
I'm just gonna because I do that every once in a while. I'll binge watch a series like I did that with Indiana Jones.
The first
a while
one's
back.
so enjoyable, and I can't make myself watch it.
It's really good. It's really good.
So good.
That one was a big deal when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing.
I read the book.
I did
after
too.
The fact.
I read it after too.
Yeah, I was like, this is. It's different, but it's still like it still has that suspense, and you have all this.
That led me to read almost all the other Michael Crichton books.
Really?
Yes.
What's your favorite Michael Crichton?
Congo, and the movie's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. I read
No,
Congo.
you know what? I'm sorry. I'm taking that back. Sphere.
I read Sphere
The
also.
movie terrible.
Yeah,
didn't represent the book at all because it was super like everything was like a dream.
Interior.
And, it was very.
It's not like
they didn't represent. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah,
movie,
it was
but-
bad. Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
And what?
Samuel Jackson.
And
I was excited when they cast him in it because at the time I loved Samuel L. Jackson, and I was like, "Oh man, Sphere, Samuel L. Jackson can't lose."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lost hard.
Yeah, so hard.
Because his character was my favorite character in the book too.
Yeah, it's very mathematical, and you can't really represent like a lot of the stuff you can't really represent well.
And I just kept waiting for different things from the book that pop up in the movie, and they would either not be there or just really misrepresent it.
I just don't remember Queen Latifah from the book. I don't remember.
They wrote her in afterwards.
Yeah.
There was
an
adaptation to the
afterthought.
movie.
Yeah, amendum or what?
Addendum.
Addendum. Thank you.
Then there's a CoverGirl commercial in the middle of this.
And she's a lesbian.
Oh.
Well.
And she's living single.
Ugh, living single. I watch the hell out of that show. I don't care.
I think sadly a lot a lot of us
Yeah,
did.
we did.
Martin and the living
Martin.
single.
Hey, they were like back to back for a while there. But
I think we've really steered the ship off course.
Yeah, but here we are. Indiana Jones will always be a series that we'll love, and I stay positive. Whatever's next to come, and I have no reason to because I've liked all of them, and
I can't wait till my kids are a little bit older so I can just force them to watch them all.
it's just like
Great
when
movies.
I just one more story before we go, but when you're putting on like a Walt Disney movie, they have that little like montage of different Disney movies, and Back to the Future is on there, and my daughter always like, I want to watch that, and I'm like, don't you worry, little girl,
Don't you worry.
will be
You will.
watching some
Nah.
Back to the Future, and the
You
same
will.
goes for Indiana Jones. I mean, it's
great.
just I have no reason to not like. I kind of want to be like a guide. For them.
This is
so
the good stuff
this
here,
is the good
honey.
stuff. I want to
Let's
show
watch-
you. And
Let's watch
it's-
Back to the Future, which all three movies are just carbon copies of each other.
Yeah,
Oh.
but you'll still
Don't
like.
say
But
that.
you'll still
Still
like the
love
second
them.
the best. But so it's a great series, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Hopefully, Harrison Ford lives long enough to at least get one more out.
Yeah,
I don't
get
care.
one
I
more.
mean,
How
one
old
more.
is he now?
He's old as hell.
Late 60s?
I don't know, but
It's
he's
right
still
there.
acting.
All you have to do is click on his name for crying out loud.
You're so mean to me.
Where is it? 42. So what does that make him?
I don't like math.
Why isn't it just tell us? See full bio.
He would have been 60 in 2012, right?
No, he'd be 60 in 2002.
You're right. So,
So
he's
70.
70s.
Ugh,
Yes.
70 something. They got a good picture of him up here.
Yeah, he doesn't
looks
look
really
bad.
good, but that's not 70.
I don't think that's recent.
That's not.
That's like
70.
That's like
it's
7
like the
years
person
ago.
on Facebook that keeps their picture up for like a decade.
And then
It's
you
like,
see him. And
that's
he's
still me.
He's a silver fox. Holy cow, dude! What happened to your hair? But
Didn't know you had an eye patch now. Your Facebook picture's a little different.
oh, you got shot in the throat. That's what that is. Okay, so you're just breathing that way now. Okay, okay. But it's a great show. I mean, a great series, and I'm never gonna give up on it. Don't forget to check us out on our website. We have lots of new things. We had a pretty cool little thing happen where somebody put us on iFunny, and that kind of blew us up for a couple days. So if you guys want to keep doing that, we'll be okay with that.
We thank you to anybody that endorses
yeah,
us.
I have no. Yeah, it was crazy. 7,000 comments, something like
There
that.
was 158,000 likes on it.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
Our-
thank you to whoever
Yeah,
posted
thank
it
you.
and anybody that gives us love and promotes us, because we're trying to have fun and do fun stuff, and
We
if
just hope
people
other people
enjoy it,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, and so keep checking us out on Facebook. We'll try and put new stuff on Instagram. We'll put stuff on Twitter. What else do we do? iTunes.
Just to throw it out there again, it's warpzoneonline.com, and that'll link you to any of those things.
Yeah, everything's on the website. So we're just gonna keep trying to make it look nicer. It's a work in progress,
Yep,
but
we got some cool things in the works too.
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers now, but I might start down the road here soon. But we have some really cool stuff in the works.
All right, it was great talking to you. See you later.
So let's have it close with how about another little short round comment there, Josh?
You got any good short round quotes?
Short round.
It can even be the same one again. I just like to hear.
Just say it. Say it. Say something in
Do
Chinese
it in No Time
accent.
for Love, Dr. Jones, as accurately as possible as you can. We'll end it with that.
I'm excited.
Hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love.
Do one more just in case. Just so we have-
Hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love.
See, I want
I feel like I step on fortune cookies.
when you said that, I
Hang on, lady. We going for a ride.
It's racist.
Good old classic racism.
It's good.
You're my best friend. You're my best friend.
Right?
The Empire strikes back with multiple laser attack, Decepticon infiltration, stealing information, tapping communications with Recordicons, target massive sound wave stereo. I don't believe in a no-win scenario for an epic adventure, no retreat, no surrender. Cleaning up the city with Mayor Mike Hagar, clashing with the Foot Clan in the shadows of the streetlights, spotlights, bright lights, and if you got a new pet, don't feed him after midnight. Cruising on our bicycles, we never say die. From the attic to the basement, uncovering the secrets with the power bracelet. Ryu and Ken style, kicking it on the pavement. 88 miles per hour, we out of time. Meanwhile, at Warp Zone.